is a very huge part of our heritage that is being erased, because first of all, we live in a low documentation society, and that's why a lot of things happen to us. I remember photographing some of the house numbers in Lagos. I even have like some numbers that I photographed over a 3-year span, where, oh, this year this is what it looks like, this year this is what it looks like, and then the third year you're seeing something completely different. Nigerian design or African design is design that truly reflects who we are as a people. The way we sound, the way we talk is different. Like, there are a lot of things that make us unique. I'm a friend of the process. I like process a lot. Honesty would play a long role. If people started being more honest in the type of work that they do, in how much they charge, their process most importantly. Because one thing I always say is that learn. Like, not learn to show, not learn to, oh, so that I can put out a portfolio next week. Oh, like actually learn. Do great work. Do great work regardless of the price tag. Set the highest standard. You stay grounded, because the more you know that you do not know. You cannot do more than your mind can imagine.
What has it costed you to start and to keep going to this point?
I can't.
David James Udoh, an art director, senior brand designer. You worked with cool companies, you worked on cool projects, Typography, Caveat Emptor, and the Huddle. Yeah, but summing up all of these creative expressions and amazing stuff that you've done, what has it taken to get here or to become the David we see today?
I would say a lot of grit and determination. But first, it was more of a mindset thing. So, there was this time where I was struggling. Like every other designer that's starting out, we were struggling. I'm not struggling from a lack of. Some people might say, "Oh, I do not have a laptop, or I do not have this," but it was not that type of struggle. It was a struggle to actually do great work, and it was just that mindset of telling yourself that what's the best that you can do to get yourself to this particular level, and then like setting great standards for yourself, because it's very easy for you to put yourself or constrain yourself or limit yourself to like your immediate environment, say maybe like the Nigerian design space, or like whatever you're more you're close, like you have closer proximity to. It's easier for you to just like fixate on that and like try to maybe be the best and be the local champion type of thing. But like when you set higher standards for yourself, not in comparison to people, it makes you actually like work towards that. Because I feel like I'm a self-determined person. I'm that person that maybe I like competition like that, but like if I decide that I want to do something, best believe I'm going to try as much as possible to get it done. I'm going to do all that I can do within my power and leave the rest for God. But I'm going to put in the work to get to that point, just so that I can understand what that so I can get that euphoria, that thrill that comes from getting to that point. I think I like that. And again, I'm a friend of the process. I like process a lot. So, because sometimes the standards that you set for yourself can be like, it can be very high above. And when you are going through that process, if you do not fall in love with the process and you do not romanticize the process, you get tired and then you lose sight of where you are actually headed.
It's very important to fall in love with the process and setting very high standards. So what was like your journey into the creative world? I know some people have maybe they got early exposure to a computer. What was it like for you, especially looking from the kind of work you produce now? Were there certain things that you experienced growing up that maybe that gave you those foundation or prepared you for who you have become, or what exactly you are producing?
Okay, how did I even get into this? So I think my first encounter with design tool was CorelDRAW. Funny enough, I learned it from my mother. My mother taught me how to design first Pepsi logo, and I stopped. I did not do anything for like more than I think 2 to 3 years before I.
Was she a designer or she just knew how to use the
So she
computer?
just knew how to use the computer. She taught me how to design like birthday cards, all those things you do in MS Word,
Yeah,
Word
yeah,
art
yeah.
and stuff. So she used to do it just for fun. I don't even know if she does it, but like, so she used to do it for fun. She'd Corel Draw. She'd do logos like this. I think was it MFM? I can't remember the exact logo. And Pepsi logo, it was easy where you
Just draw
put the blue and the
the
red, then you do
red,
that
the
train
text.
in Corel Draw. So like she showed me that, and from there, I think then she enrolled me in a computer school that time. I went there for like 1 month. I dropped off. Then I did not look at anything design for 3 years. But like even in that, would I say silent year?
Yeah.
Those silent
Yeah.
years, I was still that creative guy that was into the arts. Like I used to draw a lot, and I used to dance. Like I used to dance and do a lot of theater type of thing. Yeah, so in the creative space, I used to draw mostly. Then it was not until I stumbled on Photoshop, and then I said, "Oh, okay, you can actually digitize this thing." Then that's when I started evolving from Photoshop to like tools. Then I moved beyond tools to actually learn more overarching skills that you need to like art direction and all these things that shape like my work from a more better view.
That's like really cool. Having your mom like show you how to create those logos and also like having that passion to draw and continue to increase your knowledge to really do cool stuff. You've been playing a very interesting role currently, archiving stuff, preserving our culture, trying to see what does our design look like, let's say as Nigerians or maybe as Africans, and trying to connect the dots and make something out of it, documenting it. Yeah, but when people talk about Nigerian design, it sounds like very nice and powerful, but then sometimes it might still feel a bit vague, right? In your own perspective, what exactly is that Nigerian design or maybe African design?
I feel like Nigerian design or African design is design that truly reflects who we are as a people. Because it's easy for us to like sometimes when we talk about Nigerian design or we talk about, I'm not going to talk about Africa
Okay,
that much. I'll talk more about
about
Nigerian
Nigeria.
because that's my immediate context. When we talk about Nigerian design, most times it's usually, whether we like it or not, is perceived mostly from an external point of view and not from we looking into like looking deeply into it. Because if you find things that are, if you were to pay like a random person to do Nigerian aesthetical thing for you, half the time they're like list of things that will happen is either they are slapping Ankara on it or they are trying to use a lot of they're trying to use a lot of like what they call it, very cliche things like slapping the map on it or slapping Ankara, doing very cliche stuff that you would almost think that, oh, that's what Nigerian aesthetics looks like, compared to you actually studying the way we do things. For instance, even from, I remember when I was working on house numbers in Lagos, the book, and like photographing these numbers, I was learning like a lot of things on how people number their house, why they chose to use a particular thing, and in that process, I learned how people think about like certain design decisions in the Nigerian context. The way we sound, the way we talk is different. Like there are a lot of things that make us unique. The way we like to always show up and show out is also unique to like compared to like other countries and
Around the
even
world.
like especially in the far west, the way we like respond to a lot of things is different. And I feel like when design reflects, shows that, like without trying to maybe without trying to over refine the edges, when design actually shows that reflection of who we are, then it is Nigerian design. If it doesn't feel like us, then it is not us. That we do it or we think that it is does not necessarily mean that that's what it should be. I think that what it should be is a design that truly reflects who we are as a people.
So, pretty, that's like very interesting. I still want us to stay on that a bit, right? Because to try and find maybe a good balance. So there are some designs that we see, maybe from stuff you've also archived, stuff you've seen. A lot of us came into design from maybe trying out things ourselves. We don't have that structured platforms or schools to learn about design.
Yeah, definitely.
You see some people, maybe you pick your computer or you go to the Shomolus of this world, or you go to Ogba of Lagos. I'm sure different states will have those areas where people do a lot of printing. So they've not gone to structured schools. And some of the things that we also use, apart from maybe our patterns, maybe from the north, or how we built our old houses then. So, but in terms of maybe doing stuff on computer, creating stuffs, we've not gone to like structured schools. So they created stuffs, and sometimes we now refer to some of these things as maybe what looks like Nigerian design. So what is that sweet spot? Are they just because they did not go to those schools and they just cooked up stuff? Does that really make it like Nigerian design? Or I will now say maybe some people have now gone to learn principle, they've gone to learn hierarchy, they've now maybe lost how we are, how to present. We're now maybe creating stuff that looks like the West and all of that. So what's that sweet spot of, okay, this is still unique to us, but still it's not just something because they've not learned what should be the standard.
Yeah.
So what is it like?
So I feel like there's that element of honesty that is supposed to be in the mix. So while I don't think to be honest, like anybody that has probably done a number of, say like 6 years thereabouts in design space, but most likely do not go to school because we do not have like very structured, I mean, apart from like few universities that offer like
Fine art and some other,
even graphic design. I mean, like I know like people that went through in like as graphic designers, but we do not have that structure and that community from a more formal standpoint. So it is easy for us to be moving with the wind and just doing things based on vibe.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's understandable. But I think even at the heart of that informal system, there's still something that's still cut across, like that's still very prominent in all these things. Like if you look, I feel like those people that are in those very close communities, like say the Shomolus and the Ogbas, I feel like they do a decent work because they don't try to over-engineer their stuff for a particular demography. They are sticking to, they work for Nigerians mostly, like they're trying to print for maybe a birthday party or this. So like they don't have any other like, they're not targeting any other appeal apart from like the daily Nigerian. So they kind of like have most of the components that takes to like create things that are Nigerian-esque designs. But like also you mentioned something like principles and all those things that you get from people like in the West. The thing about those things is that I feel like there needs to be a fine balance of, you can take all those principles to structure this without like watering it down or reducing the worth. Essentially, finding that sweet spot looks like you telling yourself that there's this, then there are these people, and I need to create something that is at the middle, and I need to create something that feels more like me but can be more global. Because one thing I was talking to somebody, I was talking to somebody yesterday, I was like, if we create something that feels exactly like somebody that is next door to somebody abroad, why do they have to go outside of their country, outside of their continent to come and get it here? They'll pay way lesser. They don't have to even like communicate like very far. They can just walk to their neighbor and get it done. So the thing that will make you stand out is you not actually forgetting your heritage. I see them more like tools, like all those principles and things. I don't see them as like what should be the actual result. I see them as like channels or like funnels for you to get a better result. It's like more like filter.
Yeah.
So you take all the Nigerian, that will be in
Different,
between
yeah.
like all the great stuff. Then you pour it into that filter, and that filter then brings out the more refined version of that. Not that what you are getting in the bowl underneath is something different. It's just that particular thing that you have poured into the filter that you now see like a better version of it. So I feel like that's what it is for us. We should see those principles and those things as more like filters for us to get a more refined version of what
Okay, wow.
of that design that reflects who we are.
Yeah, I think that's a very cool way to look at it. Currently, what's the collaboration like? I know that you've been doing really cool stuff with some really cool people, and how do you think this collaboration should evolve? Because at some point, I think a couple of people were saying that it still seems as if a lot of really good designers are doing a lot of things in silos, but I still know that we are still starting to see a lot of nice collaboration. How do you think that this collaboration should evolve, especially if we want to continue to grow the Nigerian design
So
system?
I think that yeah, honesty plays a very huge role in we collaborating more. And the reason why a lot of people do not collaborate is because people do not even have an idea of where they are at. That's for people that they don't have an idea of where they are at, and they don't even have an idea of where other people are at. So they can't even like collaborate freely. And some people have postured to be a particular way. So when you have to collaborate with people, that means they will see like some side to you that is not out there, or is not in that part of your brand image that is outside. So because of that, you're trying to also protect that. But I feel like honesty would play a long role if people started being more honest in the type of work that they do, in how much they charge, in their process, most importantly. Because when people are more honest, people can learn and people can find ways to complement that. Because if I thought that you're a great guy that designs and you don't always need help, your process is like plug and play,
It just comes
I will
to you
never
and
think
then you
of
get things
wanting to
done.
collaborate with you. But if I see that your process maybe lacks some type of thing, or there are even like very cool things that I can plug into in your process, it's easier for me to reach out to you and then we collaborate. People need to be more honest where they are at so that they can actually get to where they could be.
Write about it, open up a bit, so that way
Yes.
people can know that, oh, this is what your process looks like, and they can
Yes.
figure out ways to actually
Yes.
help collaborate and
Because
make
if you
things happen.
find, because of the way we do not have like very structured institutions for design, a lot of people learn from maybe like tweets that they see online, or they learn from like something that somebody has maybe baked together, refine, and they see that and they learn, and sometimes they are working as overkill, or they are depressed even at that point, because they feel like you can go from 0 to 100 in one day, because that's what they are seeing. People are not talking about like all the rejected versions, all those things that happen behind the scenes.
And how much time it actually took for you to get to that
Yes, people do not
one.
talk about it, and hence that's why we have what we have today.
You
In my own opinion, is my own opinion.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Yeah, so you mentioned how we having starting to create really unique typefaces that speaks to our own audience, that shows who we are, what we are like, and that's some of the things that also is helping global organizations to want to collaborate and see how they can also take stuff from here or have what we have in their catalog. How did that collaboration happen? I know you've collaborated on a few fonts. You also had like Funky Way, Takwan, and maybe Danfo. So how did it happen? And yeah, how have you continued to do cool stuff in that space?
Okay, how did it happen? I mean, it's mostly passion. I mean, when the first time I ever I told myself I wanted to create a typeface, I promise you, I never knew it would be profitable. I knew people like did typefaces professional, of course. I bought like a lot of fonts. So I never knew that it was something that, oh, you could actually do. I know that Foundry exists. I know that type designers exist, but I did not see myself at the time actually morphing into that, or even creating that for a more commercial audience, or like in that sense, or getting paid. I was just doing because, like people say, for the love of the game.
Yeah.
Like it was just I was trying to work on something, then trying to pick a type. It's just like the way we work on logos where we are trying to now like create custom things for that
Yeah, for
logo
it.
or for that brand. It was just like that. And I said, you know what, let me just take the more audacious move and try to complete this. And
Oh.
from there, I just started talking to people, showing it. I mean, I spoke to a couple of people, like anybody that was willing to listen to me. I like to yap. So anybody that is willing to listen to me, I'll tell them about it. And from those type of conversations, yeah, that's where the collaboration more from there. And like, oh, cool stuff. Oh, can we work together? And that's how it goes. Like I can't give you like the entire
Yeah.
detail, but like it comes from that place of me deciding that, oh, I wanted to do this. And I did not do it from a place of, it was solely for the love of the game, because I remember the first typeface I tried to create, I spent like 3 months, no, like the first 2 months I had gone like a long way, and I had to scrap it and start
all over.
afresh. So you almost think that somebody was paying me and they gave me feedback, like if you do not know. And I was like spend times like 5 a.m. trying to work on it. You almost think that no, this guy, he has a plan. And it was just for the love of the game. It was just because I also, excellence is like a core value for me. So just trying to make sure that I do things that I don't like. I just try to do things very well, and I do things from a higher standard. I don't tell myself that, oh, this is, I mean, let's just do it like that, Jerry. Nobody will see him, like that kind of thing. Like I try as much as possible to not lean into that side. So I try to do stuff the way it's like. If I was doing this, what would that look like? And when I do that, I just show it. I think if people just actually show their work, show their process, and be consistent, one thing that I think people should do is do great work. Do great work, regardless of the price tag. If you see work that is like, if you're working on a project that is say $100K and you're working on a project that's 100K naira, I don't think that you should treat it. Yeah, the scope might change, but the quality of work can still
Just
be retained. Because when somebody looks at a billboard like in traffic, they're not going to say how much they pay that guy for that.
Whether it was free
They're
or
going to
whether
say,
they
oh,
paid
who
you a
did
lot.
that first before they start to know whether it was free or is your uncle that forced you to do it. So whatever is worth doing, you have to do it well. So in that process, people will see your work, you meet people, and then collaboration will just happen naturally.
Actually, it's actually very great that we are talking about these things. So people at whatever level of their careers would understand what it really takes to do great work. Yeah, spending that time, the grit to do excellent work, and also being open to collaboration might require you sharing your process, going out to different events, meeting people, and you don't know where something will just come up.
Yeah.
You might get to work on big projects together, or even you are just the one teaching or letting down the ropes to people that are also trying to climb up to their career. Still on typography or type design looks intimidating, overwhelming from like looking at it outwards. And you also mentioned how much work it also takes. 2 months, 3 months, you scrap, you go again to improve it. And we have like guys that are like doing cool stuff now. Chisa, Shi, yourself, and a lot of other amazing people. So for a designer that has interest in maybe coming up with their own type, creating something that can also be used across the world, what is the approach? What would you recommend? How should they learn? What platforms can they learn?
So I mean, there are a lot of resources out there for type design, and there are also like extensive courses, paid courses that you could take. But one thing I always say is that learn, like not learn to show, not learn to so that I can put out a portfolio next week. Like actually learn. The first typeface that I ever created, I did not even at that point. It was Illustrator that I used. I mean, now I use glyphs, and I use glyphs for like making typography. But like I was using Illustrator just because that was what was accessible to me at the time, and I just tried to learn with that before I got to that point where I could actually use glyphs. So I think you just be intentional and learn. Like don't try to think, what if I don't have this? What if I don't have that? Yeah, there are all those limitations, but one thing I always tell people, your mind is also a limitation. If your mind has accepted that, I don't like to sound like a motivational speaker, but like there's a lot that the mind can do. If your mind has accepted that particular state, then you're as good as, like, you cannot do more than your mind can imagine. Like, if you cannot, somebody that has not seen a plane can never imagine or dream to be a pilot. Like, so your mind has to not have that limitation or that constraint. You need to open your mind as much as possible. You need to expose your mind. You need to feed, but everything done in moderation, of course, because exposure, when people say expose your mind, you just keep
Yeah,
taking
just
anything.
go
No.
all the
That's
way.
where discernment and like some other things come into play, so that you're not feeding from the wrong places. So you need to learn, you need to like take things in for more paid courses. I mean, type elective, they usually have like different courses per season. I mean,
Okay.
once is and I don't know if they've committed this current fall class, but like they usually have, depending on in spring class, fall class, you have like different classes per season. So type electives is one that I would recommend. I mean, because I've taken like 2 of their courses, so I know that it's very, like, you cannot go through like type electives and not get to I mean, you might not be the best person when it comes to typography, but you would have like a solid foundation. Type elective is number one. Also, the co-founder of Type Elective also like put out like I think she has like some free courses. I'll have to check for the link. There's also a type library that I can't remember his name. Well, a long time ago, I think he posted it. It was Ayola Felix. I think that's his name. Yeah. I think he posted a library. I would have to check for the link. Maybe you can add the link to the description. I'll send to you after. There's a link that has like tools for type design, courses. It's like one big hub for everything typography. I think that's a very good place that you can learn, because there are also free courses in there. I mean, I learned glimpse from going through a free course like that. So it's not a, you don't have to pay at the moment if you do not have the money. But if you have the money, definitely, because when you pay for something, it feels like you're more committed to it.
You have to do
and
everything
you
possible
have
to
finish.
get something out of it.
Yeah. So that's why I always advise that if you have the money, pay for it. But if you do not have the money, it's also fine. There are free courses available for you too. Yes.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I think we'll put it up and people can like check it out and go through it and make something happen if they want to do cool stuff in the typography space or in type design.
Hi there, I know you're enjoying this episode, but we need you to do something. Please double check if you've subscribed to the channel. If you haven't, click on the subscribe button, like, share, and most importantly, leave a comment. Tell us what you found very insightful, very valuable from this episode so far, or by the time you complete the entire video. Please do that right now. That is one way that it can help us to continue to keep the lights on. Please do that. So you can get right back into the video.
So you've been doing a lot of archiving, documenting, and preserving designs, culture through Caveat Emptor. So why is that work important? What do we risk losing if we don't document some of this stuff? And what has it taken to also keep going with all of the commitment, the financing, the research, the working with people?
Okay, I think first we cannot talk about the importance of documentation. Documenting Nigerian vernacular design or vernacular design generally without first talking about the importance of documentation. Because first of all, we live in a low documentation society, and that's why a lot of things happen to us, because there are not documented things there that we can learn from those patterns. That's why, even down to like things like leadership, even down to, there's some things that we can easily avoid if it was well documented and we could refer to, so that people have like knowledge about that particular thing. That's one. Then secondly, the way for instance, we have documentation problem across like different sectors in this part of the world. There's also the way it affects design. Remember I mentioned Nigerian design earlier. where people understand it, but because of their pandering to or they're not necessarily pandering. I mean, in the process they're pandering, but is an honest reason because they want to actually make money. There's that part, but in that process to do that, we are leaving something, and this thing is like nobody. Like there are not a lot of people that will now pay attention to this, and with what we've seen in Nigeria is that it could be some type of civilization, mostly haphazard, that would then come and replace that, and then that thing will not exist again, and then this new thing does not exactly it's not a direct evolution from that previous thing.
Yeah.
So it just feels like it just erased a large part of us.
I'll just pick from that new point. We
pick from that new point, and that new point doesn't even feel like it correlates to any other thing, and we just keep going. And then over time, we lose ourselves, because there are a lot of things that I think we'll be doing better if things were well documented, even down to architecture. A lot of buildings are not built the way it should be built for us, because we don't have winter, we don't have like some type of. Nigeria is very hot, so why are they building like newer houses that have smaller windows? We need that ventilation. So it's because things are not documented. So people don't even understand why they need that.
They just believe that this is what is.
So people believe that I saw it when I went to one particular place or in country and it looks great, and let's implement it. And also it's cheaper to just do some things, and the Nigerian anyhowness that comes into play. But the reason why I decided to document vernacular design is because it's a very huge part of our heritage that is being erased. I remember photographing some of the house numbers in Lagos, and you'd find that I even have like some numbers that I photographed over a 3-year span, where this year this is what it looks like, this year this is what it looks like, and then the third year you're seeing something completely different that doesn't feel like the other 2 years, and like people that even like pass through that route cannot even tell what was there before. Then it almost feels like history just erased right in front of you, and that's just one very small unit in the grand scheme of things. There are a lot of things that we keep losing because of these things are not documented. When I was in the process of photographing some of the house numbers, I learned about like why some house numbers were like that, and what it said about like the people living there and how they thought about housing and architecture in general. So some of these things, so historians can actually look at a design and then be able to trace or like find points in history about a particular group of people. Like if we were to talk about like maybe house owners in 2000s and house owners you can use house numbers in Lagos as a case study. So historians can come into it, students can come into it. I mean, I remember I was talking to, I think it was sometime last year, or was it last year or last 2 years, that where there's this guy, final year student in Unilag, that also like his final project was on Nigerian design and typography, and it was really cool. And I thought that, imagine if he had like even way more materials to
work with.
So yeah, students, historians, and anybody that is just curious to look, because it's not everybody that's actually going to make use of something. And I think that's where people get to that point where there's also that part where people try to commercialize everything, where if I'm learning this, I have to learn it because I want to do this.
So
like you can actually just learn it
so they can get so big that people.
Yeah, so you can actually just be curious enough to want to know like your background or a little about design heritage in somewhere that you came from, and you just open it and you look at stuff from the archive, and then you're good.
A lot of people see this kind of cool projects and cool stuff from the outside and just like love it and just think that it comes easy. What has it costed you to? What has it costed you to start and to keep going to this point?
I can't even talk about it on camera, because that cost me more than it has that I've earned from it. Obviously, is capital intensive, because you need to keep putting in money, and then because of the type of work that it is, it's not in the short term, so you cannot stop. but you might not necessarily see profits now. And
Immediately.
initially, it wasn't even done for profit's sake. The point, any profit that is going into it is just so that the archive can be bigger to accommodate more people and to accommodate more resources. So it's not even from a place of trying to, that's why I have like other means of like making money and doing other things. But it's very capital intensive if you want to do that. I would not recommend if you are looking for money to try to do something like that, because it's going to cost you a lot, and half the time you're going to ask yourself, why are you doing this? More recently, we have more people working with Caveat Emptor, and yeah, it's been interesting generally. It's been fun. What is keeping me is me thinking of the long-term impact. Because if I think about the short-term impact, I promise you, I don't give up. You have to work with people, so you need things, you need time, and time is money.
Yeah, sure.
So it's because, let me give you a very good scenario. House numbers in Lagos, it was very intensive. So it was myself and Anedo Richard that photographed most of the pictures there. And you find us either working, like I randomly do 5K walk just because I'm looking for pictures
Pictures to take.
like, or walking the entire length of Ikorodu Road just to get numbers of the houses there. So it's going to take, like, I could easily use that 3 hours to maybe do work that will get money. So imagine doing that and then you're not getting money. So it's very difficult work. It's going to test you physically because your leg, you're going to get tired because, I mean, for that case, and someone said, oh, why did you not just get a car? They're like, it's like you're going house to house. Would you be stopping at every...
And the fuel you're also going to consume.
Yeah, there are some places where you can not even park.
Yeah.
So would you park far and then walk back? So you still be on your feet. So there are a lot of very present process to it that makes it very difficult, and it needs very heavy funding, and it needs donation. If you want to learn more and how to donate, you can reach out to me, but like it needs a lot of money, and that's one of the things that trying to prioritize this year is actually getting people that are interested in your work, because people have shown interest in like preserving that type of work. So trying to create process, and some people have even offered to volunteer, and that's what we want to open it up to, because there's also the part where people can actually learn to, it might not even necessarily be to work directly with Caveat Emptor, but I mean, whatever value you have, you can always bring it on board. And then in the long run is not for Caveat Emptor to be the best archive platform. Is that Nigerian vernacular design is preserved. With or without Caveat Emptor, that should be the case. Like if I decide that I'm not doing it again tomorrow, it should still be the case that Nigerian vernacular design is preserved.
Being documented. It's something to do great work, impactful work, and really purposeful work, but then there's a lot that can keep that going.
Yeah.
The time, the money, like you said, because time that you're spending doing that very impactful project, doing the research, could I well be spending it working for a client that will have to pay you. So it's an interesting place to be in, but once you're really very passionate about it, something that you think should exist, is now good to look for every way possible, maybe the right collaborations and like donations, like you said, just like a cool work that the Start Archiving guys were doing with newspapers. I remember how they also had to put up that people that can support, because it also costs a lot to scan, to have people doing the research and all of that. And these things are just important. The immediate benefit might not be seen now, but in the long run, we'll definitely see it as an ecosystem and as a country. For all of these projects, let's say for Caveat Emptor, personally, you would have to do a lot of research, and great research. I remember in one of our last episodes with Jordan, where he talked about how he watches a lot of music videos across several years ago, how he also does not just go randomly to Pinterest and just be seeing the designs there. Because half the time you are seeing AI designs and you're just seeing stuff that has been remixed. He prefers to go or look at print books. So what's the process like for you? How do you do your research now?
I mean, it's not a very structured process because of the peculiarity of the craft. Because when you think about how a lot of informations are not out there, they're not mainstream information. So because of that, you have to dig deeper. And depending on what you're researching on, I mean, um, for a really long time, longer than I expected time, I've been researching on football, the history of football in Nigeria, because I'm trying to trace how that has shaped like Nigeria. I started the research with the mind to see how it has shaped Nigerian visual culture, like when you see viewing center boards and all those things. So that's what led me. But in that process, I've stumbled on a lot of things, and so the process has just been, I can sum into maybe a Wikipedia page, and then that Wikipedia page takes me somewhere else. Then I mostly use Flickr for images. I mean, contrary to Pinterest, and I don't know, I don't find a lot of images that I need on Pinterest, but on Flickr I see them. I see them on like like other sites that are not mainstream. I remember there's this book I have, Street Art in Germany. It's a book on just street art in Germany. The author of the book has an online platform where people actually like contribute images there. It's a Facebook community, and they contribute images. They contribute a lot of things there, and he also has like his own personal stuff where he like uploads stuff that he photographs. So it's just very interesting how like this seemingly unmainstream place
Is that where you can find something?
is now where I go to, because sometimes if you even do a random Google search of some things, you see like some Facebook link. I'll go to Nairaland. You find me on Nairaland like randomly, like these days. I promise you, there was a time where I said, "Oh, I'll come back to Nairaland when it evolves." But now I've gone back to it where it is. In Nairaland, like people don't care. They drop random think pieces. They drop random comments. So like you learn more about how somebody thinks on Nairaland, and you learn on their Instagram page, or on maybe Twitter is just a lot of agenda, but like compared to like this type of places where they have like open and very honest conversation about like their daily realities. So I'll find myself going to like things like Flickr, and also there are a lot of sites that I also just check. I have them bookmarked on my laptop. Then I use Archive, that's Internet Archive, the Wayback Machine. I started using Archive for sites as a designer. I started checking in for websites, and then eventually I found that he actually has some books, and sometimes when I'm referencing some things, I actually see like a quote from a book that I then find on Wayback Machine, archive.org, and then I can easily just scroll through the book, scan through the book, or I can maybe read the book, which is stressful for me because I don't like ebook normally, but the things we do for the things we love.
Yeah, that's like so much you actually shared. It also shows how not entirely one direction or straightforward that research can be. Sometimes it's what you've known several years ago that influences your work now, and you will also find the best of stuff sometime in the not seemingly great places, like finding stuff on Ireland or Flickr and another place like that, which also goes on to influence your work. So around February 2023, you started the Huddle with Samuel, and you guys have continued to this point in time, a platform to tell stories, to also sort of still document and have outstanding creative people that have done great authentic work share their stories, also for a lot of other people to know what their process is like. Why is creating that space important, and also driving to this point in time, what has it costed you guys?
That's another. Wow, I have so many.
David likes to take up projects that costed him a lot.
Wow, I think I need to change. Maybe that's why I've not bought private jets now. Wow, those small thousands here and there that are going, and millions here and there. Wow, I need to do better. Okay,
maybe more funding, more support. You guys should come out and collaborate.
I mean,
support this
my account
project.
can collect it, and the accounts for this project are collected. But if you now want to extend beyond the account, I'm just kidding. Okay, Odoo started with one goal at the time, and it was to create a place where people can actually have honest conversation about their process. And just like everything I said before, how honesty is actually something that we should take as very important. We should take as a very core value in order for us to like thrive as an ecosystem. So honesty is at that, I would say, is the art of that growth that we seek. So Auto started with that singular goal at the time, and because if you find a lot of creative events when we're like looking at most of us creative events, especially in this part of the world, you find that most of them are either geared towards you learning a particular skill, or then teaching you how to make money with that particular skill. So there are not a lot that where you see people actually just come and talk about their process and be honest about their process, talk about their background and how it has shaped their work up to that very moment. Because when you see people, you might not know that, oh, this person actually had the humble beginning, and it's not even for the sole purpose of having that grace to grace story. No. It's just understanding that, oh, they actually started this way. Even if their father had like so much money, or they had like a lot of, there was a point where they did not know as much as they did now. And now just showing that process of how they navigated from that very moment to where they are currently at, and then giving us instances in the work that they do. So a typical audio session will go from them like talking about their background, then warming up into like their career, and then now showing us like a detailed case study of like maybe one or two of their projects, where they tell you all the things, both the technical sides of it, the creative side of it, and even the financial side of the project. And I see people learning a lot in that process, because a photographer is talking about his process, and then in the process he talks about maybe the creative side, saying intentionality, and then maybe his pricing model. Me as a fashion designer, I can learn something about intentionality, and I can learn about his pricing model and how or his approach to that particular pricing system. I can learn that and then put it into my own particular practice. And I think that's what makes the audio very fun, because it's not exactly designed for a particular audience in the creative space. It's not always a design event, it's not an art event, it's not a fashion event. It's an event for creatives. So that's why we always try to pick guys that are doing great in their various niche. You don't have to say, oh, because you have like a small design or use a computer, that's why we are bringing you up. No, it's because you are doing great in your niche, and then we think that there's something, you have some value that people can actually learn from, and that's why we've called you to come and speak at the Huddle. In reality, it should not actually be something that we still want to do. I mean, for the most part, starting out, the way we're thinking about it was, we were sure about the vision, and because of we're trying so hard to not stray away from that vision, we do not think about like bringing like sponsors or any form of partnership at the time. So we're thinking of just going straight to execute first, so that we've instilled that knowledge into people, that they kind of like understand the value of this particular thing, and then they can resonate with it so much that we don't need to do a lot of talking and explaining. Because when you have an idea and you're trying to get funding, you explain like you try to convince people.
You've shown people something that
you try to convince people, and even in that case, in some cases, you might even have to tilt a little bit from your initial direction, because you have to pander to like the person giving you money most times.
Yeah.
So because of that, we're trying so hard not to stray away from that vision. So we thought about like bootstrapping it from like the get-go at the time, and we're like, okay, this is what we're going to do till we get to that place where we know that, oh, this is something that also, and it was also proof of concept for us, so that we see that, oh, this actually works. And I remember from the very first Huddle, it took us like about 2 weeks to set it up, and it was just from conversation. So we had the conversation like previous year, then that day we were just talking, and then we were close to a cafe, and we just went there to ask for the cost, and we were like, okay, we'll do it next week, and that's how I started. Like, so it was not even something that we had to like ponder, and we had to do like,
Deliberate very long.
and we had to
before
do like
implementing it.
maybe getaway retreats. So it was not that deep. Like, so we just knew what we wanted, and we just went straight into execution mode at the time. We just wanted to execute, and we did it. And right now we've been on break because of a lot of factors, but yeah, moving on, we are trying to see how we can even open it up more to like get people that are interested in partnering with us to actually bring it to life, because it's bigger than us now. The Udoh is not me. The Udoh is the Udoh. So like it's way bigger than me. So I should not be the factor that affects the Udoh happening or not happening. Same, likewise Samuel. So the Udoh is bigger than us. So this year is going to be a very transition year for us, where we're trying to make people actually come on board to sort of like make sure that the Udoh runs independent of us. Like, we don't necessarily have to be like the ones funding it, taking everything up, and
making it happen.
to make sure that it works. So that's like one of the plans for the year. So we're coming big. Watch this space, and if you see any donation link, you know what to do.
Yeah, send and forward. It's very important to get that good support or collaborations to make this happen, because it's great to start, you execute, very passionate, really cool project, very important for the entire ecosystem. But still, sometimes you also still need a lot of funds to fund the passion, to make it like sustainable
I have
over
too
the
many
years.
passions, man.
And they're usually expensive passions. So I think, corporate organization or people just very interested in supporting the creative ecosystem or the creative industry should like reach out to partners, so at least we continue to have those super amazing sessions that continue to help the entire ecosystem grow. So as we even towards wrapping up now, for a designer that wants to really become great, do really great work, I know we've touched on a lot of things, but what are like 1-2 things I think they need to be focusing on now in the age of AI, the age of maybe trying to also survive, but their desire is to do great work that is globally relevant? What are the key things they need to be focusing on?
I think the first thing is set the highest standard for yourself, first of all, because if you do not set very high standards, you cannot see. If you set very low standards, you will not be able to see beyond that particular ceiling. It's just going to be like a constraint that you cannot go past. Like the way I said earlier, like your mind, the way your mind works is amazing. Like if you've never seen a plane, you can never dream of being a pilot. So you need to like first expose yourself. You need to first expose yourself and set high standards for yourself. When you set high standards for yourself, then you actually ground yourself and learn. Learn. Like there's no shortcut. I know that there are shortcuts in all those tools, but like there's no actual shortcuts to getting good. Like you actually have to be grounded, and you have to do the hard work of learning. It's going to be boring. I'm not going to even try to tell you that it's going to be the best thing that you're going to do in your life. It's going to be boring, but I promise you that the result is going to pay off. And a plus is if you fall in love with the process, it makes it easier for you to navigate those boring times and those silent moments. So one thing is to expose your mind and then set very high standard. Another thing is for you to learn. So I feel like you can break that first one into two, because when you first expose your mind, you feed on things, and then you start to there's this. I wrote an article one time, like it was someone that asked me a question, like how do you build conceptual strength? And I wrote an article about how there's something I do that I did not realize it was a skill until I started paying attention to it and like drawing parallels, doing mental gymnastics. Is the way I can randomly see. I remember, I think it was on Twitter when I think it was last year. I was actually on Twitter. It was 2023 or 4 thereabout. I saw one icon set, and the first thing that came to my head was the Chivita Park there's this icon on it that came there. When you see rice and stew, what comes to your mind first? I think of Japan's flag because it's white,
Yeah,
then
and
there's
then
red in
red.
the middle. So like trying to connect seemingly unconnected things also helps your mind, because I play that game sometimes in my head that, or when I think of this, what is something outside this particular bracket that looks like this thing? So before you know, you find that you are connecting like different dots and everything will just start to align, and you think differently half the time, because you're not thinking of the more conventional approach where you think of rice and stew, maybe you think of fried rice, you think of this, you think of
Yeah.
that, you maybe think of like something around that, you're thinking as far as this. So I think that when you start to play that, I play that game, and it helped me build like concentration where I can draw parallels. I can see maybe something lining up and I'm thinking of, oh, a stack, oh, what does it look like? Oh, it can look like this, oh, it can look like this. Or I see a zebra crossing, I'm thinking of Adidas stripe. Like you just keep connecting those dots, and then with time you find yourself shaping up to have those ideas, and that can only come from a place of exposure. So when you expose yourself to great stuff, expose yourself, take it in like a format or a sponge, and just take it in, suck it in, and then see how you can apply it. Then you now raise high standards for yourself. The way I did that was, I remember when I was working at a particular job and I went to Apple's career site and I looked like what maybe a brand designer or a senior brand designer, what their JD looked like. And I saw it. I was like, oh, cool. What that thing did for me was I brought out this CV, I took it to my notes app, and I said, oh, what can I do to be this?
Yeah.
And then I did all that I could do to be this. And if you try that with like maybe, oh, I want to be the VP design of this, you look at their JD and you see, oh, what can I do to be this? You find yourself, that's the part of setting standards. You set like standards that are high for yourself, because when people think about JD or how they work, they're thinking of something just very close.
So who
like,
they are
oh,
currently,
okay,
or the skills that they have.
I'm an intern, I just want to graduate to junior, or I want to do this. So like, how can you go from that intern? I mean, it's not going to be very quick. You might, in the process of you trying to be VP of design
There's
or
also
trying
steps.
to be a staff designer, like there are steps and there are roles that you have to occupy before you get there. But yours might just be faster because your gaze is not on the
Immediate.
your gaze is not on the immediate thing. You are thinking of it further. It's just like sorry, I take a lot of running content because I like running. So Jacob Kiplimo, he broke the record he unintentionally broke the record for fastest 10K while trying to run an half marathon. He was trying to go so fast to beat the half marathon time that he broke a 10K record. That's the way you find yourself, because you're trying to beat this faster. You find that something that's like, oh, you're trying to go from intern to maybe a VP design, you get a senior designer faster than somebody that was focused on just senior designer, because you know that if it takes you maybe 2 hours to practice, if somebody regular person it takes the person 2 hours to practice, I think like 4 hours. I know that it sounds like motivational speech. I promise you, not motivation. It's just what it is. Like you have to actually put in hours. As I said, you expose your mind, set high standard, and you actually learn. Like you stay grounded, because the more you know that you do not know.
Nice, lovely. It's been a very great conversation. Thank you so much, David.
Thank you.
Learned so much, very insightful and valuable for not just designers, brand builders, founders, people just building cool stuff that they want to outlast them and really make impact and purposeful. I trust that you guys found this episode valuable. Continue to bring top and amazing people doing cool stuff. And if you love to support the cool projects that David is taking on, and if I still come up with other ones again, and they're usually very, very expensive, reach out to collaborate, either for Caveat Emptor or for the Huddle, yet for us to continue to really do great stuff. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. Take